Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect podcast, everybody. Today, we're joined all the way from Maine by Kristi Porter, who is the Chief Impact Officer at Vector Global Logistics. Kristi, it is a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Pleasure to be here. We've got so many fun topics to lay out in front of us. So I'm excited to be here and excited to chat with you.
Well, really fascinated to hear about all of the stuff we talked about. So let's get started, Kristi, if you would, by sharing a bit about your journey to where you are today with Vector Global Logistics, and also what you guys do at Vector Global and who you serve from a customer perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like many people, I've had a long and winding path. I know you have as well. So it took a while to get here, but I got here. So I've always been in some sort of business communications, whether PR, marketing, advertising, something like that. So all laid out between both nonprofits and for-profits, as well as my own business, which is actually how I came to meet Vector. And so in 2019, I was already running my own business for a few years. I got introduced to Enrique Alvarez, who is the co-founder and managing director of Vector Global Logistics. We hit it off. He needed to write and launch a new website. I said, I can help that with that project. So we got going, had a great time, and said, what else can we do together? And then this little bump in the road came along called the COVID pandemic. And so we kept working on projects together, but he had been in business for about 8 years with Vector at that point, and they did not have a marketing department. And so I said, I think it would actually be better for my mental health if I collaborated with a team again. So I'm going to keep my business, but at the same time, can I help you start your marketing department and come on a team scenario again? And he said yes. And so we've been doing that for the last few years, building everything from the ground up, trying to establish our presence. We built a marketing team. And then I always co-managed both our impact, which our motto at the company is logistics with purpose. And so I co-managed that alongside our marketing, but really loved the impact side more than anything. And so just in the last couple of months, I've transitioned, put another capable person into the chief marketing role. And now I am officially chief impact officer, managing our B Corp certification, all of our giving programs, our community outreach, our internal giving, and yeah, A to Z from that standpoint, and having a ball.
Awesome. So you guys are B Corp certified already?
Yes. So we've been
Amazing.
certified about a year and a half now. So we are actually one of the only, I think there's a handful of us now, maybe 5 or 6 of the 10,000 worldwide B Corps to be a freight forwarder that's certified. So still a very small niche, which we're proud of, but we also would love a little more competition in that area. We want to see more people joining the efforts and joining us in the certification, and really looking not just at one part of their business, but their entire business from A to Z, which is what the B Corp certification is. So we're proud members, but also holding the gates open for others who want to come in and join us as well.
Amazing. I mean, that's a great accolade for the business. Well done. That's
Thank you.
fantastic. And obviously, clearly that sustainable market perception is important to Vector Global. And well done for getting the B Corp in. But what other trends are you seeing out there, Kristi, in the market, specifically around the logistics space?
Yeah, I mean, of course, sustainability is a big one that has certainly grown over the last years. I will say at Vector, we were always more, we had a heavier emphasis on the social side. So when we asked the team to pick which charities are we giving to, each division of the company, meaning each country, we're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, have team members scattered throughout the US, but we have 2 offices in Mexico, 2 offices in Chile, an office in Peru, and just opened an office in Lviv, Ukraine earlier this year. And so when we talk to the team about who they want to give to, volunteer to, spend their time and donate company funding to, then it was usually on the social side. Our team loves helping kids. They love, unfortunately, all of us know somebody impacted by cancer, so that's often one as well. So we were always much stronger in that side. We've got some ground to make up on the environmental side, but we're doing our part there and we're making strides. And I think that's an indicator of the industry in general. Even those who are doing a fantastic job at it, it's really been over the past few years that you've seen that picking up a lot of steam. And so I think we're all learning in there, but I boss loves to say logistics are another vehicle to change the world. And so that's what we focus on is every product you and I touch on a daily basis has a supply chain component, which
Sure.
means it is the perfect way to make a difference in the world. And so that's what we're really effectively trying to do and really want to see this industry get better and better at it instead of the competitive, lots of waste, lots of things that you're working around that maybe could be done in a better way. And of course, then some of that's we're not able to help on our own. There's things like the pandemic, things like wars, all of that going on, but there is definitely decisions we can all make to improve things.
Sure. I mean, it's commendable because yeah, obviously there is often an additional cost associated with pursuing
Sure.
that path, and obviously with the environment at the moment around tariff fluctuation, uncertainty, etc. Is cost a pressure that you're trying to balance with that sustainable output vector? Is that something that you guys are struggling with? Are you doing both things in parallel?
Both things in parallel. Even, of course, yes, tariffs are everything everybody is talking about right now, worried about, wondering what they're going to wake up to the next day. But even when times are good, nobody's going to tell you they don't want to save a dollar or two. So it's something you're constantly having to navigate as well. We put a lot of emphasis also on teaching people long-term thinking because it is very easy to say, I can save, a $2,000 right now, and it looks really appealing. However, when we help them forecast over the life of, their supply chain or the next year or so, it may actually not be the savings that they're talking about. Or we've had clients say, but our fault. We went to the cheapest provider thinking we needed to save a few dollars, and the customer experience was terrible. And it ended up costing us more time. And we've discovered that now what our time is worth as well. So I think you have it happening all across the board. We do our best to provide great prices, great customer service. And so that's what our clients really stick around for. But also knowing that you can't, in any business, you can't please everyone. Everyone's going to make their own decisions. And so being respectful of if we're not the right fit right now, then do what you need to do and maybe we'll circle back later.
Got it. Thanks for sharing. And in that balance that you're carrying out in parallel, what's your take on artificial intelligence as a positive supporting platform or a negative disruptive platform in what you're trying to achieve at Vector?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think as human beings, change is always a little scary. So much like with the tariffs, we're trying to figure out what's going on. But then also the fact of we realize how AI helps us do our jobs better. We don't want AI to necessarily take people's jobs, but for the people who may be experiencing that fear, where can we uplevel their skills somewhere else so they're not completely dependent on that one job? So our IT department is implementing it. We're building new technology both internally for use and for our clients. So we have the client portal where people can check in and see where their shipments are. We have great GPS technology, and then we have just even systems set up to make sure that the right files when they come in by email are sorted to the right person. So working on that, and of course from the marketing and impact department, I'm about to implement a new software to help us track our B Corp certification easier than the manual collection I've been doing. The marketing department is using different tools to help them get their job done faster, or maybe help them get, off of a blank page and into a new surrounding work with multicultural teams all over the world. It's also great to have that instance where you can say, is this correctly written? Is this translated correctly? Am I saying anything offensive? So you have it implemented from both an internal and an external standpoint to make sure we're operating well, we're getting faster and better at what we do, and that our clients are able to get what they need when they need it.
Awesome. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that AI will create measurable benefit or value for Vector Global Logistics within, say, the next 12 months, one vote, and then, say, the next 5 years?
Yeah, I would say I'll give you numbers and then I'll give you a caveat. So I will say for your first question, an 8. We're working on some really exciting tech plans internally. And then I think I would keep that 8 probably. We're continuing to look into both of my bosses in the US are very excited to see where AI can take us. Our internal tariff expert, our customs brokerage, we have one of the software that we use for customs brokerage. We're actually one of the first logistics companies to implement its AI model. And so it's really helping our team process effectively and quickly right now when they're just getting bombarded with all kinds of requests and trying to figure out tariff rates and what's happening where and did this change from yesterday and what HTS code is this and all of that. So we're very optimistic on both sides. And then the caveat I will give you is for better or for worse, the thing that everybody realized during the pandemic is what a people-oriented business that logistics is. At the
Mm,
heart of it, what makes the goods we move around the world effectively is people behind the scenes, and that's part of why it broke. Or you would have one person at a port get COVID and the entire port had to be shut down. So we saw its fragility and the human nature of it. But on the other side of that is the great relationships that we have made with people all over the world who can say, what, let me get you a better price for that. That's humanitarian aid. Let's make sure we have the right paperwork for that. I can introduce you to my friend and he's going to make sure that he's at the port getting exactly what needs to go where. So it's a both and scenario. You'll never be able to just get rid of people entirely. And they're both the benefit as well as sometimes the fragility of the industry, but that's not going to change.
got it. That's a great perspective. Thank you. And obviously, you've covered some of these points already, but in your journey over, say, the last few years, what have been the biggest hurdles that you've encountered and how have you managed to get around those hurdles, Kristi?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in our industry, it was very difficult when COVID came along because we do have a lot of people out at ports. We have people driving trucks. We have all of those kinds of things. But I know a lot of people from the office side also struggled because were people going to get their jobs done at home? And you're suddenly the homeschool teacher as well as the regular parent as well as the, logistics professional. For us, we already had a remote first culture, so we were able to quickly pivot from that standpoint as well. People were already generally working at home, so that wasn't a big deal for us. I think for us, we've not only been developing our expertise, so I think in any business, which as well, it's hard to say no to people when you want to help them genuinely, but sometimes you just get asked for things that you're like, I really wish I could help you, but this isn't our lane. We have great partnerships with other logistics companies as well to say, you know what, I think they're a better fit for you than we are, or come back to us if you have this request, but this is not our strength. And so I think those are some growing pains as well, especially in times of what you perceive as famine. Unfortunately, companies like Vector did really well during the pandemic because everybody stayed home and ordered things online. But then you also have coming out of that and where we thought in 2023 the prices were going to stay low for containers, then they shot up again. So you're then figuring out, okay, how do we rebalance this? What do we do with our team? And one of the things that we have really taken a lot of deliberation on is we've seen massive layoffs at companies. We had to bring on all these people during the pandemic, and then suddenly the containers went up, people weren't shipping as much, and then we had to let a lot of people go. And I think a lot of people were in that perspective, whereas for us, our directors made the decision to say, let's keep everybody who's doing a great job. Let's reward them for the work and diligence they put in at the company, even if it shrinks our margin some, because we know we're going to figure out another way out of this. And if we don't have good people sitting behind their screens doing this hard work, then we're not going to make it anyway. And so we have that for us again. For every country has a charity partnership. So for every container we ship, there is a portion of that, the proceeds that go back to charity. So sometimes that's also like, okay, if it's going to be a lean time that we're forecasting, what do we do here? My boss will say, we keep our commitments. This is who we are. We've already told them we're going to do this. This is who we're talking. This is the reputation that we built for the company, and we're not
Right.
going to shrink on that. And so sometimes things like those are more difficult. But
Sure.
I think when all is said and done, companies just have to stick to the culture that they want to build and figure out creative ways out of that. We talk about creative industries like painting and pottery and art and all of these things, but I always tell my coworkers the creativity that abounds in the logistics industry is really unsung because if one door closes, then you've got to figure out the other door that's open and what price it costs and how to turn on a dime and, what out of the box solutions you can come up with day to day, oftentimes in multiple languages.
Sure. That's fascinating. Thank you so much. I asked this question of my guests when they come on. So forgive me if it's a bit of a surprise, but if you were able to go back in time, you had a time machine, for example, over a period of time in the past, what would be the one thing you would go back and change?
Well, this is totally unwork related. I told you before we got on, I actually travel full time, and like a lot of people, again during the pandemic, I got after that we had been able to come out in the clear again. I was tired of staring at my same four walls and thought I can work from anywhere. Why am I not doing that? And so that's when I started traveling full time. And so I actually do that through pet sitting. So I take my work wherever I go and watch people's pets and have a great time. And I've been able to see all kinds of places, including all 48 continental US states,
Wow.
now 8 provinces in Canada, different places. And so it's really been both rejuvenating and fun. I get to see our charity partners, I get to see clients, I get to see all of these people who, because of our global team, may not otherwise have a visitor from Vector. And connecting in this way is incredible. It's one of the great privileges of living in 2025, but there's nothing that's going to ever replace in-person communication. It's been really fun, and so I would have done it sooner.
Awesome. Amazing. And for Vector Global Logistics, what does the future hold? What are your plans from an expansion perspective, different geographies? What have you got on the horizon?
Yeah. One of those actually just came into fruition this year, which was our office in Lviv, Ukraine. So we have been involved in supporting Ukraine since shortly after the war broke out. Basically, the following week or two, we've shipped
Wow.
over 1.5 million pounds of aid, have lots of partnerships there, are still shipping, still holding meetings, still introducing stakeholders. And so we said it's been amazing to meet these people and to be involved from this standpoint when they're in need, but we're also excited to stick around after they start rebuilding. And so we were so excited to open our office there this year, and they're already thriving and doing great things as well. And so we've got a few more things like that on the horizon. I can't spill the beans yet, but we're looking forward to that. We're, me just moving into this chief impact officer role that's going to allow me to focus on more of what I like to do and being able to meet and interact with more of our not only charity partners but value aligned company partners and dig into the B Corp model more and meet some more of those amazing people. We've got conferences coming up with them, and so I think that's going to be a lot of fun to be able to expand our value aligned corporate business more. And yeah, we'll keep expanding and growing into new locations. We are Vector Global Logistics after all, so we've got to increase our global presence and continue to spread our message and culture. And so between that and technology, I think we've got a lot coming.
Sounds exciting times. And for the guys and girls out there watching and listening, where can they find out more about Vector Global Logistics and what you guys do?
Sure. Yeah, it's vectorgl.com is our website. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the places. So yeah, we encourage you to give us a listen, give it a follow. We also have a podcast called Logistics with Purpose. So it is the only podcast focused on supply chain's positive impact. Many of the headlines in supply chain are not fun. They're not exciting. They're not happy news. And so we interview change makers who are making a difference in using the supply chain in amazing and inspiring ways. So would encourage you to give that a listen as well.
Fantastic. Well, we'll make sure we include all of those links and the podcast in the description of this podcast so that anybody out there who's super keen to find out more can readily access it. So listen, thank you, Kristi, so much for sharing with
Thank
us,
you.
giving us that information. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching and listening today. We will see you in the next episode of the AI Ripple Effect podcast. But now, for Kristi from Vector Global Logistics, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.